I can't fight this feeling any longer.
Here we are. We're
Yet I'm
live. Look
still
at this.
afraid to let it show.
What
What started
started
out
out
as
as friendship has
friendship
grown
has grown stronger.
stronger.
I only wish I had the strength to
How
let
are you?
it show. Hi, Suk. I
Scotty,
see us.
Scotty,
I see
Scotty,
us.
singing love songs
I tell myself that I can't hold out forever.
forever.
Say there is no reason for my fear. Kasuki, I feel so secure when we're together.
I never understood
You know what I love?
why he announced the together forever.
Together. I only wish I had the strength to let it flow. You
How
know what I
you
love,
doing,
Suk?
Scotty, on this rainy, miserable Wednesday? Did the sun even come outside today in New York City?
Nah.
No.
The sun will come out
Tomorrow,
tomorrow.
it's bottom dollar
So
that
you know what
tomorrow.
I love? I love
What?
when people write, they ask if you and I are married, if we're
No,
together and married.
no, we just work. We're work husband,
Suk,
wife.
just tell them we're married. We live in different homes.
What?
Got divorced. We got
You'll
divorced,
notice my
remarried.
husband coming around in the back, and Lara just stays away.
Yeah. Oh, my wife. When I turn this machine on, she's like, bye bye. She's out.
I know. How are you
Oh, baby.
today?
I'm great, babe. Listen, big night, big show. Marilu Henner going to join us. She's got that crazy total recall memory. I just hope she remembers to, come on the show tonight.
She remembers us. Absolutely. She's not going to forget. And you know what? Every time she sees you, she knows who you are. I just wonder
Wow.
how she keeps sane by understanding all of those moments. You know what I mean? Like every time, how is she able to file it into her memory?
So, you know what? You know what I'm going to do when she's on with us? I'm going to give you a little preview. I'm going to do this. Watch. I'm going to bring up this picture right here. See this picture of us?
Hold on. Oh, yeah.
See that picture?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, I have this picture on my phone, so I know exactly what date she was in on our show.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask her if she remembers the date that she was in on our show. If she remembers the day of this picture, that'll freak me right out.
Scotty,
because can I tell you something?
You know she knows.
Suk, I don't even remember the date from looking at it 20 minutes ago to see when she was on the show. I think it was March of 2017, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't remember that.
Okay.
I'm going to bring that up and see if she remembers. We'll see what happens. That should be pretty cool.
That's good. That's good.
So
really, and then we also
who
have
we got with us?
Joke Man, right?
Oh, man, I love. Listen, I have been a Howard Stern fan my whole life. Jackie was a big part of that show. He left the show. But I tell you, I was watching him before. I love how he rattles off jokes and he laughs at his own stuff. And it just makes you laugh. You know, he's so excited to throw you that punchline. And I mean, God, he's been around forever. The guy's so funny. He's coming on tonight after Marilu, right around 7:40. Oh, Marilu's on already. Should we bring her in?
Oh, yeah. Bring her in. Let's talk to her.
Let's bring Marilu in. Let's see. There she is, ladies and gentlemen. There she is. Hold on, Marilu. Let me get this.
Wow.
There we go.
There are the lines. Oh, cool. Very cool.
Are you good? Can you see us?
So far away. Why not?
Can you hear us? Can you see us? It's all good?
Can you hear me?
There you go. A little bit. It comes in and out.
Ooh. It does? Ooh.
Better. Closer.
That's bad.
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll sit closer. Okay, then I have to take my glasses off because then it's too much. Okay.
Marilu, we were just, we were previewing you coming on, and we were talking about how you have, everybody knows you have that total recall memory thing going on. And I said, Suk, I hope she remembers to come on.
She knows.
People stop me at airports all the time and throw dates at me. People don't even. I mean, of course, when I'm in New York, people remember Taxi, but everybody loves the whole date thing. It's really fun. I mean, I love it, so I don't mind. Yeah.
Weren't you on? Was it 60 Minutes that did a thing about? Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. I remember watching it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the exact date. Marilu, how are you? How are you?
I'm good. That was December 19th, 2010. I'm good. I'm quarantining with my husband, my brother, my son, and my brother's 2 little kids, 5 and 7. So there are 6 of us here, and we're having a good time. I mean, I hate to say that, but see, LA is in a bubble. We're kind of in a bubble because you can go to the grocery store early if you're a senior, if you're over 60. And so we go to the grocery store early if we have to get anything with our face masks and our gloves. And, you know, you have space here. You're in your car. You don't have to worry about public transportation. And so it's, you know, listen, my sister lives in New York, so I know what you guys are going through, and it's horrible. I'm so sorry.
Marilu, I have a question. You remember coming on our show on Pix 11 a couple of years ago?
Yes.
Remember when you were
okay. Do you remember? It was a crazy blizzard that week. It was nuts. I came on Wednesday of that week, so that would have been March the 15th.
Oh, geez. Oh, my God. You got to be
blizzard, and I was upset because I wore my boots. I didn't bring my cute shoes, so I wore boots. And then I stayed a little longer because you had that show for another thing.
We were doing a Facebook Live show. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. That was fun.
Marilu, March 15th, 2017. I said, if I showed this before, I said, if you come on and know this date, I'm leaving the show. That's unbelievable.
I have a huge crush on you. How can I not remember my big crush?
You just killed it. You killed it, Marilu. You just killed it for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night.
It's over.
But that was such a crazy week because traffic, it was all for 2 days, the Monday and Tuesday. It was all about the weather, of course. And then we still had the hangover. But then the next night I went to see Danny DeVito's opening of The Price. And the night after, Friday night, I saw Tony Danza at 54 Below. So like that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you told us you were going to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
That is unbelievable.
Right before this started. It's just the way it is. What can I do?
Marilu, I looked at the picture about 20 minutes ago and I saw the date. You know, it says it on the phone. I couldn't even tell Suki what the exact date was after I looked at the picture. I said, I know it's March of 2017.
Oh, that's
I can't believe you knew that. That's unbelievable.
I remember that whole story. Remember, I came with the boots. I was like, "Oh my God, I like." And you went,
I remember that. I actually remember that. You're like, I was like, "Your boots
are fine. They look cute. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Listen, I feel like I just read a Parade magazine article about you talking about 2020 and the 20 things you were going to do for 2020. Was it Parade? I think it was.
Well, people that that article's gone around, so I don't know. But it was kind of fun. Although now so many things are out the window. Not really. I'm still doing like a lot of them. You know, you pick like 30 things or something and you check off the list every day or mentally check.
What were they?
Oh, anything. Well, first of all, I always believe that when you start a new year, you should dedicate the year to some body part, like the year of the butt, the year of the stomach, the year of the arm. Things like that. The year of the, whatever. And stomach's a good one. I did that last year because then you can do gut health. You can do year of the breasts, the right bras. I always think that you should dedicate a year to a body part as you kind of. Yeah, but also,
Marilu, it's funny.
What?
No, I was gonna say it's funny you mentioned that because I've dedicated the last 3 years to the butt and the breast. And,
not too long. Yeah, not too long. You sound like my husband. Wait, are you a breast man, a butt man, or a leg man?
You know what? People have asked me that, and when I was a kid, I guess I was always a butt guy. But now that I'm older, I just appreciate the whole package. You know what I mean? I'm not like usually if you have a nice tush, you have nice legs to go along with it. You know what I mean?
Can we not have this conversation anymore? Are we crossing a line?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good.
We're all good.
Listen, you asked the question.
No, but I grew up with a mother. You know, I grew up in a dancing school. My family had a dancing school in our backyard. So my mother was very into like people's posture and their legs and everything. She always said you had to have 3 diamonds. That was like a big thing with her. And so we were always like leg people. And then I get with my husband, you know, and he was like a butt guy. So it's like, okay, I guess it's the year of the butt.
Suk, listen, you gotta turn your sound up again.
Oh, I do?
Oh, okay. I can hear her perfect.
Yeah, the folks all the folks are chiming in that Suki's got to turn her mic up a little. She sounds low on my end, but I can't change it, Suk.
I don't know why.
Let's talk about how beautiful Suki looks. You got like such pretty lighting.
Always.
Thank
Always.
you. Do you know there's actually everything is falling apart. You know, you feel like I've got very young kids, so you know, between homeschooling and cooking and cleaning, it's very difficult to do anything. Oh, on cue.
Oh, what a cutie! Hi, you. Hi. I'm living with a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And what grade? How old are you?
I'm a 6-year-old.
You're a 6-year-old. Oh, so you're right between them. You could hang out with them if they're on coronavirus. That's fine. So are you doing, because they're doing like Zooms, they like all these
Zoom calls, I mean printing. I always tell Scott, it's like PDF kind of city. You know, that's how I feel about it. PDF this, PDF, my head is gonna explode.
I know. My brother is also a full-time student because he's going for his master's in teaching.
Oh wow!
And so he's doing all the heavy lifting. He's doing all the really tough things. But oh my gosh, sometimes they have like 6 to 12 Zooms a day. You know, different classes because he's got 7 teachers. The first grader has 7. My brother has 6, and the pre. So
wow, I mean, and you think about pre-K, do they really need 4 Zoom classes? I mean,
well, they have 4 different teachers, so they each want to do at least 1 or 2 Zooms a week.
I know.
One is something really cool. My ex-husband started a Zoom where I'm the second wife. I've been the second wife 3 times, but my second husband, he's on with his first wife and their 2 kids, who were my stepchildren for many years, and I still consider them my stepchildren. And then he and I and our boys. We have 2 sons, and then his new wife and their stepdaughter, and my husband. So we're all on together. That's 1 Zoom a week. And then my husband's family has a Zoom, and they're Mormon, so there are a bazillion of them. And then my family has Sundays. It's like 23 of us, so we call it the 23andMe Zoom. You know, I taught an acting class to 40 high school kids. I did a singing thing for people. I'm just the queen of Zoom these days. It's crazy.
I love it.
Marilu, you know, you've been in so many things. You know, Taxi, one of the best shows ever on TV,
ever.
And so many movies and TV shows. Johnny Dangerously. Do you remember all your lines from all those projects?
Oh, I could do Chicago. Of course, that one I did 408 times. I could do Chicago tomorrow night if there was a theater. I remember like all the choreography.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always saying like, oh, I know what line is next and stuff like that. And I'm always saying to the guys, no, don't you remember? Was that episode? You know, we did a Zoom with all the Taxi guys for Stars in the House with Seth.
I saw that.
Oh, you did? Oh, it was so
good.
fun. We had a good time. Yeah,
that's great. So if I said,
do you win every argument?
Always. Yeah. I mean, I keep saying to my husband, don't embarrass yourself. Stop it. My boys have just accepted it, but my husband still, you know, he still gives me a hard time sometimes. So, Scott, I thought you were just in love with me for me rather than, oh, that was fun. That was a Jimmy Burrows night. But I thought you were just liking me for me, not just my memory.
Well, no, listen, Marilu, you and I both know if I wasn't married with 2 kids and a dog, we'd be dating right now. We know that.
You got that right, honey.
I didn't want to be so forward.
My third and final husband, but okay. Yeah.
Quick question. You know, listen, when you did Taxi, right? Yeah, Judd Hirsch, Danny DeVito, Tony Danza, Andy Kaufman, Christopher Lloyd, Jeff Conway. May he rest in peace.
I know.
You know, every one of you. every one of you guys went on to such huge careers. But, back on that show and everybody was fairly young, when you looked at these people you were working with for so long and you knew you had that hit series on your hands, did you ever think that every one of you guys would go on, 30 years later, still household names?
Yeah.
It was such a well-written show, and we were part of such a pedigree of writers. They just come from the Mary Tyler Moore show with, all the characters from that, Rhoda, and is that me? Sounds like somebody's tap dancing.
I know. I hear it too.
Yeah. It's just, it's Wi-Fi is so crazy these days.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. We're at the mercy of all of this. Yeah. But to ask by the time I did the show, I had already done 3 Broadway shows, and I could see that the people who really were talented were like moving up in the world. So I don't know. I just always felt, and also they had all come from big film careers, and Judd Hirsch I had seen on Broadway in Chapter 2.
Yeah,
he'd done Del Vecchio and stuff. So yeah, and as an actor, you're not thinking like, oh, is this going to catapult me? You just knew that you just knew that they were talented people and would probably work for a very long time.
It's unbelievable. And I know, listen, you have the autobiography that you did, by all means. In the book, you talked about, you had relationships with John Travolta and Judd Hirsch.
Sure.
I got
all my boys are 24 and 25 now, and I'm like, go have fun. Have it young. So you're not like some married guy who, has children and feels like they never had a lot of experiences when they were younger. I'm so happy I had as many like wonderful men in my life and so many fabulous people that I knew, and had my heart broken a bunch of times. And it's like, that makes you strong.
Well, you know what it is? You've just always been young at heart. You've always had that sexy thing going about you. I mean, there's so many people that are saying that you look so good. You don't age at all. Can you guys hear me or not really?
Yeah, you can hear you.
Yeah.
I can always hear a compliment. Thank you. Yeah.
No.
If you love your life and if you eat well, I always call it learn to love the food that loves you. And it took me a lot of trial and error, but I found out the food that loves me and the food that didn't. And I've just eaten the same way for a very long time, and I just stayed the course. And I think having a good memory reminded me of like, oh no, don't go there, don't eat that, don't drink that. You're going to feel like crap tomorrow. So after a while, the memory just, it had to account for something. So yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
So I know like there's so many women that are chiming in that are saying like, how could you have tips or tricks how to look fabulous over 60? There's Barbara Irwin. She's like, I want to hear more about it. So I don't know. Would you like to share that?
Oh, sure. I mean, well, this is why I've written 10 books on the subject. But here's the thing. I always say a couple things. One of them, motion is the lotion. Motion is the lotion. It lubricates everything. You got to motion is the lotion. You got to move. You have to move. You're this beautiful human animal. We walk our dog, our cat stretches, our hamster gets on a wheel. We're this animal. You've got to move. You've got to keep your joints lubricated. And my mother died of rheumatoid arthritis at 58 years old.
Wow.
Obsessed with learning about the human body. Oh, my mom had both my parents had tragic endings. They were incredible people, wonderful parents, and they both had tragic deaths. My father died at 52 of a heart attack. My mom at 58 of arthritis. And I just said, this is not going to happen to me or to my brothers and sisters. I have to learn everything I can. So that's one of the things. And then, as I said, learn to love the food that loves you. And then also, your brain is like more powerful than an atom bomb. It all starts here. This is the epicenter of your life. So, it all, because you can change everything. You can change your palate. You can change your life. You can change your thinking. You can change your life. I think of it as like, here's your head. And sometimes the problem is in here. All you have to do is go this way. And the problem. Or it's like a mayonnaise jar or some kind of jar that you screw. Sometimes it's screwed on the wrong way. You got to screw it on correctly, and that's your brain.
I love it. I love it.
Attitude.
I want to write. What was that? Motion. Lotion is the motion. Motion is the lotion.
Lotion is the lotion.
Of course, you would talk about the lotion.
The lotion. He would go there first, of course.
Well, listen, I usually get Jergens, but now it's Motion.
Okay. Whatever. But that's true. Wait.
Listen.
Can we swear on here? Is this like a? Is this
Oh, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can do whatever you want.
I've talked about this on other shows, but I'll mention it here because it's really important, and you both are reeking of it. Okay, so we have an expression in my family called PF. Okay. And it measures the sexual quotient of things. You know, and I mentioned it on your show after the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, you could say like, oh my God, that movie had no PF, or oh, that restaurant had no PF, or that girl's got so much PF, or that guy, he's not even attractive with so much PF. And PF stands for penis factor or pussy factor.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it. I was going to say that.
What radiates off of people? Now you two are reeking of PF. You know, and that's why this is a sexy show. You know what I mean?
This is unbelievable.
I love it. I love it.
Marilu, could you, in case folks missed it, can you just so I could pull it off and use it as a clip? Can you tell the folks about that crush you have on me, just so I can
about that what?
Logging on? Oh, the crush that you have on me, just so the folks can hear that who may have missed that part.
You have so much PF, you know. That's just like it radiates off.
OMG.
Well, I'm blushing, Suki. I'm blushing.
I know you are. I know you are.
You are.
I know you are. But you know, but I think you're right. How attractive is it for somebody? I mean, you don't even have to have all of the looks or all of the other assets that, you know, some people kind of live by. If you carry yourself in such a way, or your mind and your body and all of that kind of jives together, there's some element.
It's authentic, and let me tell you something. Danny DeVito had the most PF of all the guys.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I had a chance to interview Danny DeVito twice, actually. And let me tell you something. He walked in there. I don't know if it was his kindness, he was just very authentically himself.
Yeah.
And that sort of lent to so many openings and having a real conversation and funny moments. And I just love that he was unapologetically himself. Yeah. You know, it was just great.
You know, the other day I was teaching this class and I said, people don't act a certain way because they're a star. They become a star because they act a certain way, because they can't help but be themselves. Yeah. You know, they're not hiding behind anything. They're just who they are. And the rest of the world goes, oh my gosh, I love that person because they're just so connected. It's like a good all over. You know,
what do you think about the new celebrity? Out of curiosity,
I'm sorry,
it seems like every time Scott and I always talk about this, the celebrities that came at a different time, there's this real tangible excitement every time you interview them. It's like there's this realness. Whereas like sometimes the newer celebrities, the younger kids, I hate the millennials, sometimes they don't necessarily translate, and I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
I think it's because they're on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, creating a persona that then they put out there, and it goes through a filter and it goes through all these other things. And so they're like a couple people, steps removed from what it is that they're sharing with their fans. Everybody's so afraid of not being as, fabulous as people look on these.
True.
And there's a lot of pressure. Listen, I see it that the kids have pressure to be a certain way, and then they go the opposite because they're rebellious or something, and then that becomes its own thing, Yeah.
Marilu, you were. I love talking about the Hollywood stuff. You were in The Man Who Loved Women with Burt Reynolds, right?
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, but what was that like? I mean, talk about the sex symbol and old school Hollywood. Of course, Burt passed away. I think it was last year, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. What was that like working with him?
The first day I met him, we had such instant chemistry that we just kept ad-libbing our scenes. And that night he called me and he said, I want you to come down to my, dinner theater in Florida. They're playing our song and you'd be great for that character. And it was one of my shows I ever did. It was such a perfect character for me. And he said, and I want you to do the movie Cannonball Run 2 with me.
Oh.
So he asked me to do that. And I ended up working with him 5 times, including playing his wife for 4 years on Evening Shade. And he just
Evening Shade, yeah.
He handpicked all of us. You know, he said, no, I want you to play my wife and Charlie Durian to play the doctor, and, you know, had us all in there. So, yeah.
What a Cannonball Run. The first one was amazing with Dom DeLuise, right? Had all the celebrities.
Well, I was in the second one that had 23 stars. And on the day that we were all there, it was like 23 honey wagons. It looked like, you know, and we were out in the desert. We were shooting in Tucson in the middle of the summer. So our makeup call was at 2 o'clock in the morning. You had to get hair and makeup on so you could drive out to the desert. And as soon as the sun came up, you were shooting, and then you had to pull the plug at 1 o'clock because it was 117 degrees.
Oh, wow.
It was really, but we'd all hang out at the pool afterwards. So it was Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and Shirley MacLaine, and I played buddies. And for me, a little kid growing up in Chicago, to be hanging out with the Rat Pack, who was always my idol, you know, I just couldn't believe it. It was just such an exciting time. Yeah.
Is it Dino or is it Sinatra? Like, you know, there's always that debate. Is it that Dino song that gets you, or a Sinatra song?
Dean Martin was so sexy and so fabulous, and he loved. I had not met Frank Sinatra before. He was a little more standoffish in that surroundings, and he was only there with us for a day, and Dean was there like all week. But oh my gosh, this is the funniest story. I told this story recently on a podcast, but I'll tell you guys this. So I was doing Broadway, my first Broadway show over here with the Andrews Sisters, and John Travolta was in it, and Treat Williams, and Annie Reinking, and we were on Broadway. It was one of our first shows, and we were doing the telethon with the Andrews Sisters. So we all went there to shoot the telethon number because we were doing the show while the telethon was on. So we had to pre-shoot. So we went there to shoot the number. And we were in Radio City, and I said, "Oh, I have to go to the bathroom." And they were like, "Okay, all right, go." Upstairs, another floor. And then I pushed the button, and I got on the floor to come down, and the doors opened. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, where am I?" Because this is the floor, but there are no people here. There's nobody here. Where did all the people go? So then a guard came up to me and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I went to the bathroom." And he said, "Oh, you're supposed to be on a different floor. This is," I said, "Well, why is it looking what I did?" He said, "This is the same set for Frank Sinatra, who's going to come in and do his gig." And he didn't, I guess, want to be with the other people. So they had a whole, that was just,
wow.
I know. Well, inside Hollywood thing.
Can you imagine having like that kind of cachet? Yeah, like you just, I need another whole set built. Can you do that for me? Oh my gosh.
Frank Sinatra. Yeah.
That is, I mean,
yeah. He and Tony actually became friends. What?
Tell me about one of my favorite parts that you played, of course, is Lil in Johnny Dangerous.
Okay. So this is kind of a funny story. So I'll give you dates. All right. So July 11th. 1983 was a Monday. I went to the opening with John Travolta because we were dating then, and so it was the opening of Staying Alive, a movie that he did. So there was
a small movie.
No, not Saturday Night Fever. It was the sequel to it called Staying Alive.
Yeah, Staying Alive wasn't as great.
It's a Broadway dancer, and it's directed by Sylvester Stallone. Anyway, so we go to the premiere. And the next day, my picture's in the newspaper with Sylvester Stallone and his wife, Sasha, and Johnny and I. And all of a sudden, Michael Hertzberg, who they were trying to cast Johnny Dangerously, and they couldn't find the character, and he looked at the paper in the calendar section, and he said, "That's our Lil."
Oh, wow.
And so they gave me a screen. They called me, my agent, set it up for me to do a screen test. I screen tested, and then I did the show. All right, so you obviously love that movie, and I can't tell you what a cult classic this thing has become.
Loved it.
People love that movie, and families determine whether or not somebody is worth dating their daughter. By their third date, they make them watch the movie. Anyway, this is what I always say about Johnny Dangerously. You know you had a great shoot when the wrap party is 24 hours long and the director shows up wearing a dog collar. Amy Heckerling, you know, she was like wild, and we had such a great time with her. The guys had just as much makeup on as we did. It was like this playground she created for all of us. And
I love it.
To this day is the funniest person I've ever met in my entire life. He and Ian McShane.
And I'm gonna tell you what your best line in that movie was, and I know you're gonna remember it.
Yeah. What's your name?
Johnny. Shelf paper.
Yeah.
I love shelf paper.
I love shelf paper. I thought you were going to say, do you know your name's an adjective, an adverb? Do you know your name's an adverb? Yeah. Your last name's
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great. And Piscopo was great in that movie. And
he was great.
What,
yeah.
do
Maureen Stapleton.
you remember
All of them.
Yes, Maureen Stapleton was in that movie. I love, do you remember when you said, so when I was 18, I left home and came to Chicago?
Walking. And he says, Lil, this is,
And Michael Keaton says,
it's all the same.
Yeah, you're like, it's all the same, New York, Chicago. So great. So great.
Yeah,
Listen, you want to hear?
Marilu, I was in a movie.
I was in a movie for 2 seconds with Maureen Stapleton.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not, with Maureen Stapleton and Trini Alvarado, the actress, I believe.
Yeah.
The movie was called, ready for this, Sweet Lorraine. Did you ever hear of that movie?
No, I never saw it.
It was in the movies for about, they were in it. It was in the movies for about 5 minutes. It was about a hotel up in the Catskills. And my buddy and I were working at one of the hotels in the Catskills as bellhops in college. And they needed extras. And Maureen Stapleton, she hits the bell at the desk and she calls us over, and the 2 bellhops come over and we left. And that was it. And I'll never forget, my parents were so excited. They went to see the movie and they called, they said all they saw were our hands and there was nobody else. There was no one else in the theater. I was like, man, that took us 2 hours to shoot that friggin' scene.
I'm surprised it was so short. That's amazing.
Maureen Stapleton. That was my brush with her.
You have had a list of people that I think most women are fascinated with. I mean, you have pretty much dated them all. Now, in your head, do you list it off like, when you're sitting around, you're like, oh yeah, that was, thank goodness I did that, Because there's so many kids now that they second guess it. They don't go with the flow of the rhythm of the day, and it's kind of like there was something about that moment when you were becoming this big actress, where you were meeting all of these people. Is there one person that you would consider wow, I can't believe I didn't go out with him?
Who was a road not taken? That could have been. Yeah. Oh, I talked about this recently too. I worked with Larry David. I was one of the hosts on Fridays. Remember the show Fridays? And we had such a great time that week. He wrote like a really fun skit for me. And I was just going through a divorce with my first husband at the time. And we went out one time for a nice sweet dinner. And it was just the wrong timing. But we always like, when we run into each other, we're always like, oh, the road not taken. So
imagine if you ended up with Larry David. Wow, that would have been some trip.
Yeah.
Where'd Suki go? She just moved around. Suki just moved around on the screen.
Yeah. I have no idea what happened.
What kind
of
lighting?
I'm up there.
You look so gorgeous. That lighting is beautiful.
Oh, it's just
thank you, Marilu. I worked on.
It's an overhead light.
Really? Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
You know what? Get on Amazon and order one of those little ring lights. They're all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? You can put you could just put it over your phone. Your phone goes right in the middle of it, and you could do that too.
Well, I'm not on my phone. I'm on my computer. Isn't that a better way to go?
And you can get a light on your computer too. Yeah. Like you can get a little light that can attach to the top.
Usually, I have really good light because I'm in front of a window. But
it looks great. I think you look great.
Yeah, you look phenomenal.
I'm so glad you guys come and play with you. I'll come anytime.
I love it.
Anything you can give me, any times, and we can be like.
Marilu, you know what's funny? last week we had on. I don't know if you're familiar with Ron Duguay. You know, Ron Duguay used to play for the Rangers. He was in the Sassoon commercials.
Ooh la la, Sassoon.
Oh,
Really good looking guy. He had the curly hair, and the women loved him. He was like the talk of New York back when he was on the Rangers, and he's still a good looking guy today. And we were talking to him last week, and he told us that back in the day, not only Farrah Fawcett, okay, which blew me away, but also at Studio 54, he ran into Cher, who then took him to Gene Simmons' apartment because she still had the keys to Gene Simmons' apartment. He was with Cher in Gene Simmons' apartment, and he met Cher through Liza Minnelli at Studio 54. This guy it was unbelievable, the stories he was telling us.
It was also a very different time. First of all, you didn't have everybody with everybody's eyes on everybody, so you could get away with probably a lot more without it being reported.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, too much energy on something. You know what I'm saying? Like now, everything gets so labeled because if somebody sees you, then they write about it and everything else. So it's a very different time. And people were so much freer then because we could be, you know, it's like a little scary.
It's like the camera has become this double-edged sword where it just kind of ruins the spontaneity. And it's so true because if you go out sometimes, you're like, I could go there, but I'm not going to because it's too risky.
Right, for sure. And well, what are they going to say about it that everybody's going to then comment about?
Exactly. You don't want to go there.
Use that way. Yeah.
Hold on, Mary. There was a quote from you that I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
We tend to connect bad food and bad habits with romance and sex.
Yeah, it's true. I wrote about that in one of my books. Well, it's true. I mean, because everybody thinks like, you know, oh, we're going to have this great night of this, and this. And then you go like, wait a minute, really think it through. There's garlic, there's cheese. You're probably going to be bloated. Wine doesn't mix with that. You're going to feel like you're fermenting inside your, you know. The movie.
You just killed that plate of pasta. You just killed it.
Well, just don't have it with cheese, but too much garlic because it'll sit with you, you know, for a long time in your stomach. So I don't know, but I think you're right. We tend to think that it's all this, you know. I don't know. I feel like if you eat a meal, you should feel better after you eat it rather than worse. You know, you should feel in your tank. So, but it takes a long time to figure out how to do that. You know? Yeah. It's so funny. My son, who's 25, is back living back at home because he just moved out of New York and he was going to go to an apartment. But I'm so glad that he's here because he didn't have this other apartment and it kind of fell through anyway. But you know, I never stop moving, so I'm always like moving and cleaning and organizing. And you know, my brother went to Costco yesterday, who's staying in the house. He said, "I'm going to Costco. See if you can get some grout cleaner." You know, that's what. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning grout, I'm organizing my spices around. So anyway, so Nick, my son, he said, "Oh my gosh, Mom, you never stop moving around the house." He said, "You're like liquid labor. You're like liquid labor filling in every single." And I thought, that is such a compliment.
Yeah.
I want to write a book called Liquid Labor now. I didn't have another compliment.
The great Marilu Henner.
Marilu, stay healthy. We love you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Marilu, and I'll tell you what was going on or something.
Okay, that's awesome.
When my wife and I split up, I'll call you.
Dibs, baby. Wait, where?
Marilu, we love you. You'll come back.
You'll
come back on soon.
PF, baby. PF. Yes, I'll definitely.
Next time you come on, I'm putting together like a crazy memory test, and I'm putting you through it. I want to see how it's
don't do it just like a test like that. It's more fun for you to throw a date. Not so much even about my life, but I'll tell you like crazy things about that time of my life or somebody else's life or what was going on in, you know, music or whatever.
All right.
It's fun.
Absolutely.
We should do that. I like that.
Love you, man. You're the best.
Just say, in case I don't come on before, on May 17th, Sunday, May 17th, I'm on the next Hallmark movie.
Oh, I was going to say, you're the Hallmark queen.
I'm the Hallmark queen. Well, Candace Cameron Bray, she's a the queen. But we're doing number 14 in our series, and we're doing like so many more. We were in the middle of shooting. I'm sorry, that was number 13 that's going to be on the 17th of May. We were in the middle of shooting number 14, and then we had to come home for the
quarantine. Yeah,
that's great.
So you watch it.
By the way, you don't look older than when you were on Taxi. I just want to tell you that.
True. It's so true. So true.
Really is.
Flawless.
Love you, Marilu. Thank you so much.
I'm going to get that line more. Okay.
Amazon.
Okay. Bye,
yeah, they'll deliver it by July now. We love you, babe. Bye. She's great,
her.
Sue, right?
I love her. And she, I love that. She went there and talked about the PF factor.
Listen, I didn't want to bring it up, but she brought it up, and I'm going to cut that clip. I'm going to play it on a loop and text it to you.
Anytime you're feeling down, just play that. I got the PF factor. Right. I got the PF factor.
Listen, Suki, this show just continues to roll on because I am very excited to introduce our next guest. This is like the friggin' Tonight Show. I got to tell you, there he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
Hi, you kids.
Jackie the joke.
Jackie.
How are you, Jack?
I could not be better. The weather was horrible today, but we had a wonderful day. We're on the North Shore of Long Island, and we went over to the Armstrong Dairy where there's like 100 chickens rolling around, and you open an old refrigerator and you put in $8 and you take a dozen eggs. It's like it's $18.50 over there.
I love it.
It's just went for a nice walk, Like we got survivor's remorse, we're sitting there looking out over Long Island Sound, and we got food, and we're healthy, and we're watching old movies. But meanwhile, the world is crumbling around you, so you can't feel that good about it. But but hey, look at the good news. I'm talking to you guys.
I love it. We love that you're talking about. It can't get any better than this, Jackie.
Jackie, I've been building you up all day because we have viewers from all over the country. We have some in Japan and New Zealand. And I'm telling them, listen, we cheer them up every night. But I said,
tell me is there's a real good percentage of the people watching that have no idea who the frick I am.
Pretty much.
Exactly. But listen, I said this guy rattles off jokes like nobody's business. I was watching early stuff from you, like at Governor's Comedy Club and Gotham Comedy Club, and you had the hair going, the long flowing hair, and with the vest on. And your jokes, man, you just rattle them off, and I just love them.
What's funny is, have you heard of Cameo.com?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're on there.
Well, I've been doing Cameo.com and making everybody shut in. So everybody wants to send somebody a joke or a happy divorce or whatever. So I'm doing a lot of these things. And people say, oh, listen, this is my friend. He's Jewish. Or this is my mother, and she really likes filthy jokes. But they just decided to do an article on it in Newsday here on Long Island. And my buddy said, look, we're going to give you a nice plug. And we also want to, on the online version, we want you to just say hello and explain what it is and tell a few jokes. But they got to be so squeaky clean.
Right.
And so I did that yesterday. And I tell such filthy jokes. And I told 3 really innocent jokes. And I am still giggling. I'm still giggling. I'll tell you the jokes that I told. They're so stupid.
Let me hear. Go ahead.
The guy says, Doctor, you got to help me. I swallowed a sponge. You swallowed a sponge? I swallowed a sponge. How do you feel? Tasty. Always tasty. How great is that?
That's great.
Even better. 2 women are out to lunch. And the first woman says to the other woman, you got something on your cheek. The woman goes like this. She says, no, the other side. And she goes, and then the kid sitting there, and teacher says, all right, Johnny, if you have $2 and you ask your father for another $1, then how many dollars do you have? He says, 2. She says, Johnny, you don't know your arithmetic. He says, you don't know my old man. The only 3 clean jokes I know, but the guy loved them, so they're going to be online. And all the news days going to say, oh, look at Jackie. He cleaned up his act. You know what? No, I didn't. But it's great. I've done a lot of these cameo.coms. They're really fun. They're like a minute or two. And Scott, I know jokes about everything. Like a guy says, hey, my father's a big baseball fan and he lost all his money gambling and he's a drunk and he loves dirty jokes. So I tell a dirty joke about all 3 categories. and they think it's like I cured cancer. Meanwhile, I can do that in my sleep,
I love it. I love it.
If they asked me to do anything else, I couldn't. If they said, go repair a window, I'd be saying, how about a joke instead? I don't know anything. So I don't. Do I know how well do I know you guys? Like from years in radio or
news. We did television news in New York forever.
Yeah, Jack. We were on Pix 11. Channel 11 for a while, long time. Suki and I did the morning show. Suki was on the morning show for about 15 years. Wow. I was doing sports at NBC 4 and Pix 11. And I've seen you at many charity events with Bernie and Sid, comedy night, things like that. So, we've been around.
Sid Rosenberg is he's like a cockroach. After a world war, he's still going to be here. He got fired more times. It's so funny because he used to come see me in Boca Raton, and then he'd get fired and go back to New York. And then next year, he'd be back in Boca Raton. Yeah, I got fired in New York. And now he's a superstar again. And he's just such a good guy. He used to come to all my shows. And, politically, we're on the other end of the planet. But I don't care about that because we predate that. We're old pals from wherever. And he loves my Jewish jokes, the whole deal, And Bernie, he's on with Bernie. Bernie,
isn't he your neighbor? Yeah.
Bernie was Imus's intern the day I first walked onto the Stern Show in 1983. Wow. That's how far we go back. I mean,
wow.
At WNBC.
I go back to Adam and Eve with everybody,
Wow.
It's really fun.
Bernie was an intern. Wow.
Well, whatever he was, whatever. He wasn't Imus's sidekick, I'll tell you that. Now, listen, I didn't ask you anything. Are we on radio? Are we on PC? Are we on wild and woolly internet? I mean, what are our guidelines?
Right now, Jackie, right now, you are on Facebook Live. You're talking to folks all over the country, and we're also simulcasting.
I don't care about them. I'm asking you, what kind of rules should I?
There are no rules.
There are no rules. No rules.
No rules.
All right. So the girl goes to the gynecologist. And she says, Doc, I'm freaking out. I keep finding postage stamps from Costa Rica in my vagina. The examiner says, lady, those aren't postage stamps. Those are the stickers from bananas.
Oh my God.
That's the funniest joke I ever heard.
That's a good one.
I love that one.
So fun.
I have
censorship, and what's dirty and what's clean is so funny. People they ask me, how can you do your act anymore? I'm like, I've been doing Jewish jokes and black jokes and midget jokes and fat jokes and insulting myself, and since before God created heaven and earth, and anybody that watches me, if they can't tell that I'm just being a jerk and there's no animosity, there is not a shred of animosity, man. We just have such a good time. And everything just flies. I just really enjoy myself, and I don't care. If you don't want to laugh, what are you doing at my show? Jackie the Joke Man. Well, you're just telling jokes. What's my name, you friggin' moron? Jesus Christ! But let me tell you something.
Jackie the Joke Man.
You know who Mark Hudson is?
No.
Do you remember the Hudson Brothers television show? There was a show. They were the summer replacement show. Scott, how old are you? You're a kid.
I'm 53.
Like I said, you're a kid. So Mark Hudson and the Hudson Brothers, they were the summer replacement show for Sonny and Cher in like 1975, 65, whatever it was. He's a real good guy. And he does shows at the Iridium at 51st and Broadway in Manhattan called Thursdays on the Hudson, and he's been around forever, so he has all kinds of guests like Slash, or he'll have what's it, Billy from the old, the old English bands. What's
Billy Idol? Billy?
Not Billy Idol.
Billy Squire? Billy?
Yeah, it's you got every Billy except this one. But he always has these great guests, and he always has me come up and tell jokes. And I went up and told my jokes one night, and the place was packed. And we went in the green room for a while, and then after we came out, the place is still jammed because everybody on the show, they want to meet, they want to get autographs. And the place is packed, and I'm going off stage, and this guy grabs me. And he says, Jackie, I've been a fan for 40 years, and I know that you know every joke in the book, but I want to try one on you. And I said, listen, I want to listen to it because for my entire life, I have always listened to every joke that anybody's ever wanted to tell me. I always know them, but you never know because once in a while, it's a joke that slipped through the cracks. And I've got so many good jokes just because I listened to whoever. And this guy said, all right, well, let me try a joke on you. He told me a joke and I fell down. And he said, you don't have to pretend you didn't hear it before. I said, no, I really haven't heard. I think that's one of the funniest things I ever heard. Now listen to this. Listen to this. This joke is so dirty that I can't use it in my act because it slows people down. If people are still going, oh, they're not paying attention to the next joke. Like I don't do Jesus jokes. I don't care about Jesus. I don't know, nobody's going to hit me with lightning. But if you tell a Jesus joke and people sit there going, oh, I don't know if I should, and they miss the beginning of the next joke, I'm screwed. So I can't do anything that kills the rhythm. So this joke is that dirty. But you can tell the joke on terrestrial radio, and you can tell the joke to your 5-year-old kid. Now imagine a joke that fits those parameters. Okay.
Wow.
This is
so
great.
Let's hear it.
A girl calls a doctor. A girl calls a doctor. And she says, Doc, I've got diarrhea. Can I take a bath? And he says, if you got enough. How great is that?
Oh my God.
It's the worst joke. It's the worst joke in the world. But it's a poop joke. Kids love poop jokes. It's that simple. Oh, man.
Jack,
That's a good one.
Tell Suki the joke with the beans and the Irish stew.
Oh, I do these interview shows, and I love it. And it never fails that you guys always say, "Hey, you know what? Do me a favor," and you request like the worst jokes in the world, and then people are like, "Oh,
I love that! I just heard it."
Suki, why are the 239 beans in Irish stew?
Why?
Because one more bean would make it too farty. Listen, here's one somebody told me the other day. 2 Jewish guys are on the Titanic. The Titanic starts to sink, and the first Jewish guy starts to cry. The other Jewish guy says, why are you crying? It's not your boat. Right. Now my grandmother was such a dirty bird, and she used to tell dirty jokes.
I love it.
But she would, whenever we did something, anything practically, she'd go, "Oh, Jackie, you're so modern. Anything that was from this century, you're so modern." Here's a joke that if my grandmother was around, she would say, "You're very modern." This is so good. Suki, you will love this.
All right, ready.
A girl goes to her high school prom. And the next day, she sends her mother a text. Dear Mom, the prom was great, but now I'm at the beach. And Mom, I'm freaking out. I got cum in my hair. And her mother sends her back a text. Honey, I'm glad you enjoyed the prom. Listen, sometimes when you're giving a guy a blowjob and he'll pull it out of your mouth because he wants to shoot on your face, but they can't really control where it goes. And sometimes some gets in your hair. Just jump in the water. It'll wash right out. And the girl sends a text back to her mother. Mom, thanks for the information, but I meant to type gum.
Gum.
And it's very modern, Scott. I'm 72 years old. I'm telling a text joke. That's very fun. That's very fun.
Oh my God.
Isn't that great?
That's a good one, Jackie.
Oh man,
That's
Jackie,
a
that's
good
good.
one.
I love to do
It is fun. I've been around so damn long that jokes are falling to the wayside. Because I was doing a show, and then this was even 10 or 20 years ago, and I had some old friends in the crowd, and one by one I would get to a joke, and my friends would be like, "Not anymore. You can't use that one anymore." Like I had like a Liberace reference and an Alan Funt reference, and they're like, "What are you doing?"
Alan Funt.
And one of my favorite jokes. There's like 4 reasons. Besides the fact it's an ethnic joke, there's like 4 reasons you can't use this joke anymore, but I got to tell it to you because it's so stupid. Little old Mr. Ravelli. Here we are in Brooklyn, and little old Mr. Ravelli is sitting on his stoop, barbecuing a chicken on a manual rotisserie. Okay?
Okay.
And the hippie comes along and says, "Hey, man, the music stopped and your monkey's on fire." Nobody knows what a manual rotisserie is. Nobody knows that an Italian is an organ grinder and he has a monkey with a cup collecting money. Nobody knows that. So I tell that joke, and of course I laugh. So everybody laughs along with me. And then somebody stands up and says, "Now explain what the frig does that And any joke about pubic hair, women's pubic hair is out the window. Out the window. Because guys don't even know what that is anymore. It's like a bare playground down there, which to me, I come from an era where if there's no hair down there, you better call a cop.
Like it's all gone like the fax machine.
One of my favorite jokes, the guy, he keeps ignoring his wife. So she gets fed up. So she takes off her panties. In the living room, she sits on the couch across from her husband, and she pulls her skirt up a little and spreads her legs a little. And he says, "Are you wearing any panties?" She says, "Nope." He says, "Thank God. I thought you were sitting on the cat." But that joke doesn't work anymore. Because people, that's what I mean. Why would it look like a cat? Maybe a mouse. So funny. So funny.
Oh, Jackie.
Now listen,
Jackie, that joke will work because we're all with COVID.
Your friend gets divorced, and you want to send them a happy, you book me on cameo.com, and I say, "Hey, Harry, congratulations on your divorce." And I tell them a few marriage jokes. It cheers them up. It's great. Bernie and Sylvia are out to dinner. You're like this.
I love it.
Bernie and Sylvia are out to dinner, and Bernie says, "Sylvia, it's our 30th wedding anniversary. What do you want? A sable coat? A diamond ring?" She says, "Bernie, I want a divorce." He says, "I wasn't planning on spending that much." Now imagine your friends getting divorced. They make him pee his pants, right?
But you know what, Jackie? You were talking about all that hair. That hair, all of that personal grooming is not happening anymore because of Corona. So it's still
No,
valid.
I know. Your friends send you a text or something, and you look at them, and it's like is that my pal Harvey Leeds, or is that the wild man from Borneo that just stepped out of the woods, you know? And you forget you look like that. You walk in and people they go, whoa, you shouldn't say hello. You should say boo. You know, like, holy mackerel, you know. Hey, I'll tell you, I don't really do disease jokes. I don't do political jokes. I don't care. But as far as the coronavirus, I have the safe distancing thing down. That I got down. What I do is I walk around with my cock out. And if you can see it, you're too close. How perfect is that?
Oh my God. That's good. That's good.
Just silly. Just
Jack,
silly.
when people see you on the street or in a club or somewhere,
Oh my gosh.
not a club, do they still try to do stump the joke man jokes to you? Because I remember you used to do that all the time, and you knew everyone.
Well, my whole life has been stump the joke man. You know, people say, you know, if people know you tell jokes, they of course have one for you. You know, and it's so weird because, you know, when I first started doing comedy, you know, the blacks in the city, they heard about this guy who tells old jokes. They say, oh yeah, some guy just went and bought himself a joke book and read a few jokes, and now he tells them on stage. And meanwhile,
yeah,
these were organic in me since third grade. Like in 1970s, like 1975, I played in a band, and we used to tell jokes and play our own songs for 10 years. You know, we drove around Long Island in a 1955 bright yellow Cadillac hearse, which itself sounds like a horseshit story. And we told jokes. And we'd take a break, and somebody would always come up to me at the bar and say, all right, I got a joke for you. And this is a true story. And I'd say, all right, I'm going to count down from 10. By the time I get to 0, if I don't know the joke, I'll buy you a drink. I never bought anybody a drink. And I got so I would get it immediately, because if a guy told me an Indian and a cowboy were walking down the street, I'd say, oh, this is the nun and the priest walking along in Alaska. I could see the parallels. I could figure them out. And it just was crazy and crazy. And I just knew all the jokes, and I always did. But I always listened to every joke that everybody told. And, you know, you get a reputation. I have so many great stories, like where people are flabbergasted. I was at the Cannes Film Festival, across from the Carlton at one of these huge I always used to go to the Cannes Film Festival with my friend Tom Bernard, who's the president of Sony Pictures Classics. And it's like being at Disneyland with Walt, you know, like whatever he wanted to do. And I just was with him. I was like excited. I was Kimosabe. I was Tonto. And Michael Madsen comes up. You know Michael Madsen, the character actor?
Yeah.
He comes up to me, and he's about 6'5". He goes, all right, Mr. Joke Man, here's one. He started the joke. After one sentence, I told him the punchline and then told him a joke about the same subject. And his jaw was dropped, and he got right in the middle of this huge fancy party in Cannes, dropped to his knees and said, all hail the joke man. You are the man. You are the man. It was great. And the joke he went to tell me was, a guy walks in a doctor's office, and he sits down. There's a dog sitting there. And the dog says, yeah, you waiting to see the doctor? He goes, yeah. And the dog says, yeah, I've been with him for 10 or 15 years now. And the guy's like, you could talk. The dog says, fuck yeah, I could talk. He said, yeah, I used to make a lot of money. I worked in the CIA, and people didn't know I understood what was going on. I'd sit there, and people would just talk in front of me. And I get all kinds of information. I solved a lot of things. And, I helped them a real lot. And then the doctor says, next. The guy walks in and he goes, that's one amazing dog. The doctor says, he's not so amazing. He says, what do you mean he's not so amazing? He never worked for the fucking FBI. So Michael Madsen says, so a guy walks into a doctor's office, and there's a dog sitting there, and I said to him, and the dog's a liar. And he's like, and then the joke I told him was, this is great. Guys walk along and sees a sign, for sale, talking dog, $5,000. Well, let's have a look. He goes in and says, $5,000. That's a lot of money. I'll need a demonstration. The guy says, that's all right. That's all right. I'll give you a demonstration. Fido, what's on top of a house? And Fido goes, roof. The guy says, wait a minute. What am I, an idiot? You're a jerk. And he goes, leave it. He says, hold on. The demonstration's not over. Hold on. Fido, what's it feel like when you sit on sandpaper and the dog goes, rough? He said, you're a jerk. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. He said, wait. The demonstration is not concluded. Get over here.
Oh,
Says,
God.
Fido, who is the greatest Yankee ball player of all time? And the dog goes, Ruth. The guy says, fuck you, I'm out of here, and he leaves. And Fido turns to his owner and says, who was it? Fucking DiMaggio? And Michael Madsen's head exploded. His head just exploded. And years ago, Jim, I have to think of his name now. The guy who did the documentary on Mike Tyson, Jim you know who I'm talking about. He did an incredible documentary on Mike Tyson, and it premiered in Sundance. And I was with Tom Bernard again, so we went to the opening party after this incredible premiere, and Tyson's there, and all kinds of celebrities.
Jim Jones?
What?
Jim Jones you're talking about?
No, it was a Mike Tyson documentary.
A documentary, okay.
Jim, yeah. At any rate, huge director. And so Tom brings him over to me and says, hey, Jim, this is Jackie the Joke Man. And he goes, oh, man, I'm such a big fan. I got one for you. And he started a joke. The second he started it, I told him the end. He's like, oh, fuck off. And he leaves. He's hosting a party for Mike Tyson and the documentary, and the whole world is there. And a few minutes later, he circles back and he goes, all right, I got one. And he starts another joke. And I finished it. He's like, fuck. He must have come back to me 6 times. He's trying to host a party. He's got the glitter eye of Sundance there. He's supposed to be, and all he can think about is trying to come up with a joke. I haven't heard, and he couldn't do it. I wrecked his fucking night. It was so great.
And Jim Toback, right?
Toback, James Toback. Yes, that's who it was. So, you know.
I got two for you to
always try and stump me. They always try and stump me. I did this. If I still do at the end of the shows, I got shirts that say I stumped Jackie the Joke Man. If you send me your address, I'd love to send you a couple shirts. It's fun, you know.
I got a couple for you to try and stump you with. You ready?
Right,
one line.
Right. Maybe you can actually win the shirt fair and square. You never know.
Did you hear about the guy whose scrotum weighed 100 pounds?
Yeah, he was half nuts. You owe me a shirt.
Here's the second one. How did we know?
Suki's still laughing at the first one. Fuck you.
My timing's off. How do we know Adam was Polish?
How do you know Adam was Polish? You know what? There's like 5 answers to this, so I'm drawing a blank. Because God asked him. He gave up a rib.
I think I'm getting a shirt, Suk. I'm getting a shirt.
No, you know what? There's 5 answers, and I can't think of one. Go ahead.
I believe it was.
Is it something about his kielbasa?
Because he had Eve and the apple.
He had
and
Eve
he
and the apple, and he ate the apple. I'm sorry, I almost got it.
Good one.
What do you call a woman who always knows where her husband is?
Said when Eve, you know what Adam said when Eve jumped in the water?
What?
He said, "Oh fuck! Now the fish are gonna smell like that."
Oh Jesus! Oh.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
That
Jack.
was so
Listen,
good, Jackie.
give me, because we're 9 minutes past 8 o'clock, and I know we've been on for an hour, and I wanted you to finish us off with like 3 rapid fire, some of your best stuff, like you do on the stage.
A lady goes into the drugstore. She goes up to the pharmacist and says, "I need to buy some cyanide to kill my husband." This lady, "I can't sell you cyanide to kill your husband. You'll go to jail. I'll go to jail. You're crazy." She reaches in the purse, takes out a picture, hands it to the pharmacist. Picture her husband fucking the pharmacist's wife. The pharmacist says, "I didn't know you had a prescription."
All right, that's more.
An old couple's in the living room, and the wife turns to her husband. She says, "Let's go upstairs and fuck." He says, I don't know if I could do both." So a cab driver picks up a nun. He looks in the rearview mirror and says, "Sister, I always fantasize about being with a nun." She says, "Yeah, you and everybody else." "You Catholic?" "Yes, I am." She says, "Pull over." He pulls over. She gets in the front seat and gives him the best blowjob he's ever had. She gets stunned. He feels guilty. He says, "Sister, I got to tell you something. I'm not really Catholic." She says, "Yeah, my name's Ralph. I'm going to a costume party." Listen, I tweet jokes every day at 4:20 p.m. International Marijuana Time at Jack Martling. Jokes every day at 4:20. I've still got my dial joke line, 516-922-WINE. 40 years later, still jokes. If you want to get jokes in the email me, jokeland@AOL.com. Yeah, I'm still on AOL. Fungal. Jokeland, not Joke Man, Jokeland, JOKELAND at AOL.com. But the reason I'm doing so much promotion is go to cameo.com/Jackie Martling. Send somebody a dirty joke. It's only fun. Suki, it's so nice to meet you.
Oh, so nice to meet you.
This is fun.
Too.
And we'll do it again.
Yes,
you say when, we'll do it again. You say when.
I love it, Jack. Thank you, my friend. And listen, all that stuff you just said, I had at the bottom of the screen, but it was all up there for you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Jack, thank you, my man.
A couple's in the living room. He says, "You're dry tonight." She says, "You're licking the rug." You better hang up the phone because I'm not going to shut up. I'll see you later. Thank you, you guys.
Thanks, Jackie. We love you, bud.
Oh, that was the funniest. The last one. Oh, that was hysterical, Jackie. That was.
You're licking the rug.
I was not expecting that.
Oh man. See, Suk, now when you have a comedian on, that's the way you got to do it.
That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. You just go and go and go. Jackie was, Jackie was so funny. Oh my, I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. And everyone's like, I laughed my face off. That was hysterical.
Yeah, woo! Holy cow. You know what, Suk? I had stuff for you. I'm not even. Yeah, no, I'll wait for it for tomorrow night because we got to leave off with him. I mean, that was that was a good laugh, right?
That was I needed that laugh. I haven't laughed like that in a while. Oh, that was good. That was good. All right, so Scotty. Great show tonight.
All right,
great show tonight.
Marilu Henner. Suk, did you hear her say she's got a crush on me?
I know she was. I felt that real sexual energy between the two of you. That was pretty great.
But yeah, you would have been a good wingman for that in the studio.
You know what? You had that energy in studio, if I remember correctly, too.
We did, Suki.
Yeah, I definitely felt that. Don't you remember back in 2017, March 15th?
You know what? Don't move before you go. Don't move. Hold on. Let me see. Let me analyze this for a second.
Jackie had me wheezing. It was hysterical. I was like, I never laughed so hard.
Great. So do you see chemistry here in this picture?
Look at her leaning into you. Look at that. Look at that. She's such a beauty.
Really?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Marilu.
Gorgeous lady.
And you know what? Both Jackie and Marilu said that they would come on the show again anytime. So We're going to take them up on that offer.
Listen, this is the show to be on. It's nothing but fun, babe. All right, listen, we'll do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll have some guests by the time we come on tomorrow night.
It was so funny. It was so funny.
And by the way, audio-wise, when you put those headphones in and you got the mic right by your face,
it works better.
You sound, yeah, but for some, you have that real microphone on your desk, right?
I don't know how to hook it up.
There should be a way for you to turn that on. But if you could do it this way, it actually sounds perfect.
Okay. All right. That's what a lot of people said, that it worked better. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do. All right,
no,
Scotty.
It was good. All right, babe.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
All right. Absolutely.
Bye, everybody.
Jackie was hysterical.
Bye.
Hysterical.
That was great. Bye,
Good
babe.
way to end the night. Bye.